Hey guys, so today I'm going to talk about keeping your motivation to write your story. This is the second time I'm filming this video, so I'm sorry if my energy is a little bit low. I'm very upset that it didn't work out the first time, so we're just gonna jump right in to the tips, help you stay motivated to write your story. These are the tips that I used to finish Valor. Y'all know, if you watch my videos, that it took me 2.5 years to write my first book, the one that I'm editing now, if you watch my writing and editing vlogs. And these are some of the tips that I used to keep me invested in my characters and in my story when I just didn't want to write anymore. So, my first tip, read really good books. They don't have to be new books, they can be tried and true favorites of yours, but reading those books, holding in your hand the tangible, results of writing, seeing someone else's dreams in your hand that you now get to read, you can remember that they were once like you, and it always makes me so motivated to write my story and give my characters their voices, because they could be the next Harry Potter or Bilbo Baggins. Those are a little bit of a stretch, but you get what I mean. Tip number 2 is make Pinterest boards for your characters or your novel. I know, it's a dangerous tip I'm giving you. The Pinterest hole is so easy to fall down. I fall down the Pinterest hole all the freaking time, but it is a really good tool, especially when you're having writer's block, when you don't want to write, when you're kind of bored of your story, to go and pick out pictures that relate to your story and your settings, your characters. Seeing it in a different medium really makes it come alive for me specifically. I can't speak for you, but it's worth a try. Getting to see what my characters would look like or where they would look like makes me want to write about them more, makes me want to take what I'm seeing in a visual form and put it into words. Tip number 3 is join a website like My Write Club or 750 Words, and I'll leave those down below. They are different for sure, but the concept is the same, to have a timed amount that you are writing and write for that amount, and then if you want to be done, you can be done. Or you can write for longer, but at least it's going to keep you writing just a little bit. I like My Write Club. It's free. 750 words, there's like a free trial, so always do that if you want to. But My Write Club is free, and they always have global writing sprints going on, so that's always helpful too to stay motivated. You can go onto the global writing sprint and you'll see other people's progress. You'll see they get stars for how much they write, so you can see what other people are writing, and it unleashes a little bit of that competitive nature inside of you, or at least it does for me, and it makes me want to beat those people really bad, so I get writing. Tip number 4 is mind map or doodle or draw your characters or settings or something around your plot. Kind of with Pinterest, it's sort of the same thing, to take the words that are kind of getting you stuck, right? Your words just aren't coming, and transfer those to a different medium. Draw them or doodle them. Give yourself something else that is related to your story, but isn't the pressure of putting words down on a page that is part of your manuscript, part of your novel. Do something fun that's going to get you thinking about your story, keep you thinking about your characters and your plot, but the pressure and the stakes are really low for that when you're just doodling on a piece of paper. Tip number 5 is free write from a character that is not your main character or not your point of view character. I have a lot of main characters, but I don't have any point of view characters, because if you don't know, I write in third person omniscient. So when I'm stuck and I don't know how to move the plot along, I don't know what these characters are gonna do, it's just really difficult for me to stay in the story. Stay out of the story. Take yourself out. Pick a character that you think is interesting or you think doesn't have a great voice in your story, that you don't get to hear from a lot. It could be the character that sells bread in the first scene that you never see again, that doesn't have a name. Write about that character for 15 minutes. Just write whatever you want to write about that character, and it gets your brain working. That's what I say for all of these, but basically that's the point. For me, some of these parts that I've done have actually become a part of my story. Now, that doesn't have to be the case. It could just get you inspired to write your actual story, but you never know. This could be a new part of your novel that you never thought of doing before until you were sick of your regular novel and needed something different to shake things up. Tip number 6 is use a personal universe deck, and I will leave a link to the directions on how to make those down below, but basically it's 100 words that you choose from all different senses and emotion words and things like that. You write them on index cards, and then you can use them for whatever you want, but you can use them for writing prompts and pick 3 out and try to incorporate them into your free write for 15 minutes. It may not stay in your story, but it could also give you a great idea on how to fix whatever problem is getting you stuck, or how to make the part that you're working on more interesting to yourself. So it's always worth a shot. And personally, my personal universe deck is something that I don't pull out often, but when I do, it almost always helps me fix whatever problem is really giving me a hard time at that moment. Tip number 7 is tell somebody about your story. That can be me if you want it to be. Leave it in the comments of any of my videos. I will read it. I will definitely respond to you, but that could even be yourself in your room. Talk about your story. Talk through your plot and your main characters. Don't just talk about the issue either. Don't talk about where you are right now that's just making you feel kind of blah and not motivated to write. Talk about the things that you love about your novel. Your favorite character or your favorite scene. Tell somebody about that, and that somebody can be yourself. Like I said, that somebody can be me. I find personally writing it out or talking it out always kind of shakes whatever is stuck loose in my brain, and I can figure out why I love this story, why I'm going through this trouble and trying to stay motivated. When you're unmotivated, it's really hard to remember why it is you want to do it in the first place, but talking it through can remind you why you love your story, why your story is worth it, why you're worth it, and your dreams are worth it. And also, talking it through, you may say something that you've been thinking that's been in your head the whole time, but never occurred to you as the solution to the problem. So it's always worth it to talk it through. Tip number 8 is kind of a weird one, but with this video, I want to give you some tips that you've never heard before, something that's going to help you that isn't the random things that you can find when you Google how to stay motivated while writing or how to get rid of writer's block. Something that works for me and might work for you, something that definitely shook me out of a couple of motivation slumps with Valor, is writing on the floor. I know, it sounds crazy. Stick with me for a minute. Writing on the floor, there's just something about it. It completely switches up your perspective of your room. I would recommend writing on the floor with low lighting, maybe just fairy lights like the ones on my bookshelf, or, you know, your lamp turned all the way down. And even if sitting on the floor is not for you, tell yourself you're gonna do it for 20 minutes. And you'll be more motivated to write and get off the floor than you were to just sit in your desk and look at YouTube videos. So I like writing on the floor. I think that the whole change of perspective to be looking at everything from below and not from where you normally see it can really inspire that creative person inside of you, that author inside of you, to look at things in your novel in a whole different way. Or that could just be me being cheesy, but actually, legitimately, guys, I do sit on the floor and it does help me write. So try sitting on the floor. Tip number 9, same as Pinterest, as reading, as drawing, watch something that is related to your story. Some of these tips may seem like ways to just procrastinate writing, but I promise you guys, these tips are meant to get you motivated to write. Not to force you to write, but to get you to want to write. For me personally, I like to watch Vikings, the TV show from the History Channel. I like to watch Game of Thrones. I like to watch movies, old movies, things that have a lot of creative elements that you can really see that somebody poured their heart and soul into these things. Or even just old YouTube things. If anyone's been around on YouTube for a while, there was this channel called SourceFed and SourceFed Nerd. I love to watch their old videos. They are so funny. I watched them while they were still making content, and I was so sad when they stopped, but I go back to their stuff all the time, especially their Dungeons and Dragons series, and I will leave a playlist linked down below so you can go watch that if you want to. But they basically, it's not really Dungeons and Dragons, but they play a role-playing game, and it's really fun to watch. It's like watching a mini TV series, except for all of the decisions are made by somebody there at the time, and the story can go a whole bunch of different ways, and it's inspired me to write a lot of the time. And then tip number 10, my last tip for you guys, is try handwriting a scene on a scrap piece of paper. The scrap piece of paper is important. Don't handwrite this in a notebook. Don't type it in a separate document from your novel. Handwrite it with a pen and paper, just one piece of paper. The point of this is there are no stakes. If you hate this, you can roll it up and toss it away. I find that sometimes I lack motivation and I lack the inspiration to write because I am worried about wrecking what I've got. I don't want to write something that's bad. I don't want to write crap, and I don't want to put it in my document with the rest of my semi-shiny, pretty parts of valor. So, write on a scrap piece of paper. If you love what you wrote, you can always type it into your novel. There's nothing to lose from writing on a scrap piece of paper. So I recommend trying that if you're lost and you don't have any motivation and you don't want to write. Lower your stakes completely and just force yourself to do it, because it doesn't have to be good, and there's no stress on that scrap piece of paper because it doesn't really mean anything. So those were 10 tips and tricks that I use to stay motivated and that helped me finish Valor. I hope that it will help you guys with your nano projects and with any other novels that you guys are working on. And I will see you guys on Monday with a writing vlog. I actually have a very special announcement in that vlog, so I can't wait for you guys to see it. And yeah. I'm CarsonLee. I make writing videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. If you like what you see, please subscribe down below. I've got so much more Preptober stuff coming out for you guys to get you ready to write your NaNoWriMo projects and NaNoWriMo vlogs, NaNoWriMo videos in the month of November to show you guys how I'm doing with my novel and a place for you guys to leave me your updates on how you guys are doing. Please comment down below if you guys have used any of these tips or if you have any other tips to stay motivated. I'm sure that you probably do because this is only 10 and there's a million out there. And I would love to try them while I'm writing my new work this NaNoWriMo season, because I am definitely nervous about working on something that isn't Valor. So I will see you guys on Monday. Bye!